Welcome to The Explainer. All right, let's talk about something we've all felt. Why is saving that first $100,000 so incredibly hard? It feels like you're pushing a giant boulder uphill, right? Well, today we're going to break down exactly why that is, and more importantly, why things get so much easier after you hit that magic number. And hey, if you're feeling this struggle, you are definitely not alone. The legendary investor Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's right-hand man, he famously said it best. And man, does that just perfectly capture that feeling of trying to build wealth from nothing, right? So what's the deal? Why does it feel like a switch flips after that first big milestone? That is the big question, and that's what we're going to unpack in this explainer. We're going to dive into both the math and the mindset behind this whole thing, and hopefully give you some real tools to power through it faster. Okay, let's get right into it. The grind to that first 100K, it's so tough because, well, it's pretty much all on you. You're the one doing all the heavy lifting. The vast majority of that cash has to come straight out of your own pocket, from your own hard-earned savings. I love this analogy. Think of your portfolio at the start like a tiny little snowball at the top of a really, really long hill. The real magic of wealth building, compound interest, it just hasn't had a chance to get going yet. It hasn't gained any momentum. So you're doing all the pushing, and the snowball is barely rolling on its own. All right, let's look at the actual math here. Because when you see the numbers, it becomes crystal clear why those early days can feel like you're just spinning your wheels. Okay, so let's say you've scraped together $5,000 to invest, and you get a great 10% return on that. Well, that gets you $500 for the year. I mean, it's something. But let's be real, it doesn't feel like a game changer, does it? You could probably make that just by picking up a couple of extra shifts at work. Okay, but now let's fast forward a bit. You've hit that first big goal, $100,000. Now what happens with that same 10% return? Well, now you're earning $10,000 a year. That starts to feel like real money. It's a significant chunk of change that's starting to make a real difference. And just to really drive the point home, let's look at a $1 million portfolio. That same 10% return, that's a staggering $100,000 a year. For a lot of people, that's more than they earn at their full-time job, and it's happening passively. This is the power of compounding in full effect. This is why you push through the early grind. So the math is pretty clear, right? But honestly, that's only half the battle. There's this whole other side to it. These huge psychological hurdles that make just getting started feel almost impossible. I'm sure you've heard these excuses before. Heck, maybe you've even told them to yourself. Things like, investing isn't a priority right now, or the classic, I'll start investing when I have more money. Or maybe, it just feels too risky. The finish line seems so impossibly far away that it feels easier to just not even start the race. And that brings us to such a critical point. Saying you'll invest when you have more money, well, it's like saying you'll put wood on a fire just as soon as it starts giving off heat. It's completely backwards. You don't invest because you're already rich. You invest to get rich. You have to feed the fire first. So let's talk about the good part. What happens when you finally break through that wall and hit that 100K mark? Well, everything changes. The whole game shifts. Your snowball, it's finally big enough to start rolling downhill all by itself. All of a sudden, the progress becomes visible. Like you can actually see it. You can log into your account and see your money making a meaningful amount of new money without you doing a thing. And let me tell you, that is an incredibly satisfying feeling. It's a huge motivator that makes you want to find even more ways to accelerate that growth. Just look at the difference here, side by side. That first 100,000, it's all you. It's your personal contributions, your heavy lifting. The growth is slow, it's hard to even notice, but then for the next 100,000, compounding starts to take over. The growth is faster, it's exciting, and a huge chunk of it comes from your investment returns, not just your savings. The whole dynamic just flips on its head. And this opens up a world of possibilities. Having that kind of capital cushion, it unlocks doors that were completely shut before. Suddenly you have the freedom to take some calculated risks. Maybe you take a shot at a higher-paying commission-only job, or you finally have the seed money to start your own business. You could jump on a great real estate deal. It gives you options. It's not just about the money anymore. It's about freedom. Okay, so if you're listening to this and you're smack in the middle of that grind, don't lose hope. Let's get practical. Here is a clear 3-step plan to help you speed up the process and get to that first 100K a lot faster. Now, the strategy here is really simple because, like we've been saying, Your personal contributions are the single most important factor at the beginning. So the whole plan boils down to one goal: maximize the amount of cash you can shovel into your investment account.
All right, step one, increase your income. This is the biggest lever you can possibly pull in the early days. Find ways to earn more. We're talking a side business, a second job, asking for a raise, whatever it takes. And then, and this is key, you have to direct every single one of those extra dollars straight into your investments. You're adding fuel to the fire.
Step 2 is to get serious. I mean really serious about your spending. Scrutinize everything. Question every single unnecessary expense. Ask yourself, is this fancy dinner out really worth it? Or would I rather have the thousands of dollars it could grow into? Cutting back on the big stuff, like a huge car payment, can free up a shocking amount of cash to invest. And finally, step 3, build lasting habits. Look, this whole process, this grind, it isn't just about hitting a number on a screen. It's about forging the financial discipline that will literally serve you for the rest of your life. The goal is that by the time you do reach that 100K mark, saving deliberately and investing confidently will just be second nature. It'll be a part of who you are. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's this. Yes, the beginning is absolutely the hardest part. It is a total grind. But the rewards for pushing through, they aren't just a little better, they're exponential. That snowball is just sitting there waiting at the top of the hill. The only real question left is, how are you going to start rolling it?